Hey everyone, Austin here again with another Let's Play video. Today, as you can see, it's going to be Dracula X Rondo of Blood for the PC Engine Duo. This is a Castlevania game that was originally exclusively released in Japan in 1993. Unfortunately, never saw the light of day outside of Japan up until the sort of the early to mid 2000s on the PlayStation Portable via the Dracula X Chronicles, which I actually did a Let's Play of a couple years ago. This was eventually released on the Wii Virtual Console, and it's been recently released on the PlayStation 4, combined with its direct sequel, Castlevania Symphony of the Night, which, as everybody knows, did get released outside of Japan, thankfully. It's a fantastic game. But yeah, that was actually a direct sequel to this game that wasn't released outside Japan until well after Symphony of the Night was a thing in North America. This is a fantastic Castlevania game. This is arguably the probably best and most well-designed Castlevania linear-vania, as I will call it, a linear Castlevania game. So the Castlevania series, for those of you guys that are newer to it, was a linear arcade-style, action series. Come Symphony of the Night, the series really changed to more of a Metroid style of game, and that's where the Metroidvania name sort of came from. But yeah, this is probably the pinnacle of the linear type of Castlevania game, and it's fantastic. So I actually did a Let's Play of this about 5 years ago as of recording this, and thanks to having updated video hardware and whatnot, having a fully functional Turbo Duo again that's RGB modded now, we are going to re-tackle this game in a Let's Play and do an updated playthrough. So but yeah, we're not gonna really try to do anything special here. I'm just gonna take the topmost route, which is I think what I'm most comfortable with, and we're just gonna go straight through the game. We're gonna try to play as well as we can. I'll explain the mechanics and whatnot, and talk about a bunch of other things as we go through this. You can probably expect a live stream of this as well. I'd like to do another run where I show off a bunch of different routes and whatnot in the game. So unfortunately, I can't show off all the routes in this playthrough because it'll take me several hours, and I like keeping my Let's Plays probably under an hour and a half long. Nice, short, and sweet. But the great thing about Dracula X Rondo of Blood is that you have lots of different routes. If you go to stage select, you can see all the different courses you can go to. You have, split paths in certain stages, and even though, this only shows 2 routes, you actually have other areas you can go to within each stage. So there are like multiple little routes, in each stage as well, and it's just really awesome stuff. So much replay value here, and so we're probably just going to end up taking this top route here. And what I'm going to do, just to save a little bit of time, is I'm going to start not a brand new game. I'm just going to start on a file that I've already completed. So you can see in the bottom right hand corner of the screen there, we've got all the maidens. We've got little Maria that we rescued. You want to get all of them over the course of multiple playthroughs to try to get the best ending. Unfortunately, you actually can't get all of them in one play session. You have to, in one route. I've looked into it, I've experimented, and unfortunately it's just not possible. So the original idea with this playthrough was to try to do one route, get all the maidens and Maria, but it's actually not possible to do that. You have to do it in multiple play sessions. You should be able to get all the maidens themselves, I think, in one swoop, but Maria, if you get Maria, you can't get all the maidens. So it's... so we're not going to show that off. But once you do unlock Maria, you can hit player select here, and you can actually play as Maria. She's really fun to play as, and I intend on playing as her a little bit in my live stream of this game as well in the future, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, so we're going to play as Richter here, and let's go ahead and go to stage select, and we will do stage 0 prologue. So yeah, before we actually jump into the game, as usual, we're going to go ahead and give a big shout out to my current Patreon backers, so they're going to go ahead and flash by the screen. Thank you guys for your continued support. You're kind of keeping me doing what I'm continuing to do here, so thank you guys for that. Likewise with the recent live stream super chatters, they're going to flash by as well. Thank you guys for your direct support, and thanks to everyone else that's watching the video, and if you are watching, I hope you enjoy this playthrough. So with that, let's go ahead and jump in, and this is going to start us off on the introduction prologue stage. And on the prologue stage, you basically fight death. It's a really easy fight. You can take a little bit of damage, but it's almost impossible to die here. But it's sort of, you know, get your feet wet with the combat system and how things work. And one thing that's actually kind of neat about this is there are some wind physics here. You don't really see that very much over the course of the game, so it's kind of a neat little start. And, you know, this game really shows off sort of the power of the PC Engine Duo. The PC Engine is a fantastic platform, also known as TurboGrafx 16 in North America. And Death is going to actually shoot out a big skull fireball here. We can just sit in the back and just whip it. So, bam, just like that. But yeah, this game is absolutely beautiful. It's got multiple layers of parallax scrolling, which you don't see super often on this platform. You see it a lot more often with Duo games or Super CD-ROM games, but with standard CD games or HuCard games, you don't really see it as often. But man, this game really shows off the Duo's capabilities in that regard, and fantastic animation as well. It's awesome stuff. It's one of the reasons I say this is probably the most you know, well put together linear Castlevania game. It's just absolutely beautiful to look at. We also just got an axe, and this is going to be my primary weapon for pretty much the entire playthrough. Absolutely love the axe in this game. It is, it's actually, you know, a sub-weapon I have a tendency of avoiding in many Castlevania games these days, because I find either the Holy Water or the Cross is, you know, better suited to most situations. But in this game, the axe is just fantastic. It's huge. It, you know, covers a great amount of screen space, and it is just excellent. And unfortunately, I'm taking a bunch of hits here. Normally, I don't take a lot of hits here in the beginning, but not a big deal. So there's a couple secrets here. You can whack this for some wall meat to get some health back. You can also come over here and whack this to go to your first alternate area, but we're not going to do that. Like I said, we're going to go ahead and try to take the top route where possible. There are a couple points in the game where if I take some damage, I might end up falling down into a pit, and that'll force me to a different route. But we'll just kind of see what happens. So yeah, to use sub-weapons in this game, it's like Castlevania games that came prior to it. More so the NES Castlevania games, where you have to hold up in your attack button to use your sub-weapon. So you basically have button 2 lets you jump, button 1 lets you attack, and then up in button 1 lets you throw your sub-weapon, in this case, an axe. Normally you can only throw one sub-weapon at a time, and you have to wait until it goes off screen. But when your hearts, which is your ammunition, denoted in the top left portion of the screen, there's that blinking numeric value. Over a certain threshold, you can actually throw 2 projectiles back to back. So, like right now, we can actually throw 2 projectiles back to back. So it looks like it's after, you know, if you're over 20 hearts, you can throw 2 projectiles back to back. If you're over 30 hearts, you can throw, maybe it's 40 hearts, you can throw 3 back to back, which is nice. I'll explain some other mechanics as we go through this. One really neat feature that I actually didn't know about until just recently is that if you defeat a boss without taking any damage, you will actually get a free extra life. So if you're having troubles with this game, try to fight better at the bosses, because you'll get extra lives for it. You'll get a no damage bonus 1-up. That was actually introduced or brought back in other games in the series as well. So Dracula X for Super Nintendo, which is actually a different game, sort of loosely based on this, but it's its own game, also has the no damage bonus 1-up. And there we go, we just got it. The more recently released, as of doing this video, Bloodstained Curse of the Moon, which is a Castlevania homage, it also has the no damage bonus. And what actually sort of originated in this game is a lot of bosses have desperation attacks when, you know, after you've killed them. And the desperation attack can hit you, do a tiny bit of damage, and it'll make you lose your no damage bonus. And that was brought back in Bloodstained Curse of the Moon. And, you know, for some reason I had no idea it originated in this game. I'm pretty sure this was the first Castlevania game that had the no damage bonus, which is really cool. It adds a little bit of depth to the game, which is quite nice. There are actually a lot of little subtle details in this game that really add to the depth overall. you know, from the no damage bonus to the you know, how sub weapons are allowed to be used multiple times with your heart count and whatnot, to money bags. I actually totally forgot about this in my previous Let's Play many years ago. But if you hit the start key, you can bring up how many lives you have, but it also shows credit. And those are money bags. Every money bag adds a credit, and credits are used to buy boss demonstration movies that you can watch to learn different boss strategies and whatnot. So when I play this game, I actually pick up every money bag that I find, so I can keep unlocking those boss strategy videos. It actually takes quite a while to unlock them, because they, you know, they cost a lot of money, anywhere from 50 credits all the way up to 400 or 500 credits. And in a good playthrough, you might get 200 credits. There are actually a couple of ways to get some extra credits in a playthrough, maybe up to 400 or so. But 400 is not going to buy you all the movies. You got to play through the game multiple times if you want to get all the movies. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to actually try to show you where Maria is. She's not going to actually be there, but I'm going to try to at least show you where she is. It's actually pretty tricky. It's very easy to die here trying to do this. So what you do is you whip this second candle up here, and you grab this key. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait for a few platforms here. Let's see, I think there's probably another hole. We have to actually come down here. I'm going to go ahead and grab this heart real quick. I'm going to book it over here, just jump up here, and then the guy just pretty much kills himself like that. And there's going to be a peeping eye right here. If you wake it up, it'll activate, just like that. And there we go. There's some other mechanics I'm going to explain, but I'm just going to sort of wait a few moments before we do that. So, let's see. Maria should be over this way. And you basically use the key on this door. And she would be down here. So you normally get a taste of Shaft, actually. Actually, no, do you get a taste of Shaft down here? I thought you do. I don't remember. But yeah, that's where you would find Maria. A cutscene would ensue, and then she'd be unlocked after that. And then you could switch over to her if you want in the main menu. So Maria is a really fun character. She is sort of like the quote-unquote easy mode of the game, if you will. That's how a lot of people describe her. She's got a double jump. She's got a bunch of really, really powerful abilities. She's got a, you know, like a ducking dash slide attack, which is really fun. And her mid-air jump is quite controllable as well. And by having a double jump, she gives sort of a little bit of a Super Ghouls and Ghosts kind of vibe to the gameplay with the double jump mechanic, which is pretty awesome. So one of the mechanics I haven't really explained yet is the item crash, and you can do that by pressing the select key. And again, I'm going to grab every money bag that I see so I can keep building my credits, because I haven't unlocked all the boss demonstrations yet, and I definitely want to get those. You can actually learn some really good strategies by watching those. You know, if you're having trouble at bosses, that's there to help you, and that's another thing that's just awesome about this game. And so this is the werewolf boss. So the item crash, again, is done by pressing select. And if you really want to, you can use it on these bosses, just like this. Now, this boss is actually really fun to fight normally, and he just did his desperation attack, and unfortunately, I took a hit. I wasn't really paying attention, but that's okay. We're not aiming for perfection on this playthrough, but I do like to try to play well on these playthroughs. But I got to demonstrate the item crash. Unfortunately, the item crash uses a ton of hearts, and but if you're confident in just using all of your hearts to do a lot of damage, you will do a lot of damage. If you choose to go that route. You know, in Dracula X on Super Nintendo, in my Let's Play of that, there actually was one boss where I specifically relied on the item crash, and it annihilated the boss in like 2 item crashes. I'm going to actually go ahead and switch over to the dagger. Of the sub-weapons, the Holy Water is actually my least favorite. I do prefer the dagger in this compared to that. Now these pole knights, they will pretty much block some of your projectiles, so you have to be a little careful about what you do with them. Sometimes there are some, you know, cheap ways to kill enemies like this, like I can just pretty much snipe those guys from the bottom. One other thing you can do is you can hold down the attack button and just walk backwards. It's not something I do a lot in this game. I find that it's just easier for me to just turn back instead of walking back like this. It's not really any different to just turn around, and sometimes turning around is just easier. I mean, that's how I've been playing Castlevania for years. This and Dracula X on Super Nintendo, as well as the Dracula X Chronicles, naturally, since it's a remake of this. Those are the only games, I believe, in the Castlevania series that allow you to do that. The linear series that allows you to hold down the button and just walk backwards, backstep, basically. Need a little attention to detail. Also, you do have a backflip in this game. You can do that by pressing jump twice back to back in a rapid fashion. And there should be some wall meat right here. Wall meat will give you points if your health is maxed out, as it is right now. And let's hope that we can get an axe here again, because again, like I said, the axe is my preferred weapon in the game. To me, it's definitely the best weapon. It goes forward, but it also goes vertically, so it you know, it covers screen space above you, which is extremely useful. So like, it would be really handy against these skeletons right here, since they're swinging in from above. But with the dagger here, it doesn't really help that much. Although one thing I do want to do is show off the dagger item crash. It's really awesome. So it does a ton of damage. Also, if you jump here and attack that, and for some damn reason I just dropped my controller, you can give yourself a stopwatch. I'm actually recording this at a really awkward angle because my microphone setup is currently situated in a way that's really optimized for playing my old Windows 95 computer, which I recently did a stream of Diablo on the PC, which required, you know, I've still got my old computer's keyboard and mouse on my desktop, or on my desk here, with my normal desktop keyboard and mouse. So like, there's no room on my desk for my mic like there normally is. And so my mic is actually, it's kind of hard to explain, but it's at this really weird angle, and then like I'm like kind of like hunched over and contorted talking into it at a really weird angle too, which is making my ability to press these buttons and use the controller a little hindered. So that part that we just got past, and this guy's facing the wrong direction. I've never seen that before. Let's go ahead and use this book. This book is probably the best sub-weapon in the game from like a strength perspective. I do still prefer the axe though, because the axe just has a lot more flexibility overall. I have a lot more control over where the axe goes. And after you kill that guy, some wall meat will fall. But yeah, that previous section has these like really thin platforms. When you jump on them, they spin around, and if you're on them, when they spin, you will actually fall down. You won't actually fall to your death though. You'll just end up going to a different route. And there are a lot of parts in this game that are like that, where you can fall down into a pit, and you'll just go to a completely different route. Unfortunately, this pit right here is not one of those. If you fall into this pit, you will actually die. So you do have to watch out for that. These big candles up top can be destroyed, which is really cool. Really nice little touch. You know, they could have made these to just be, you know, really cool looking candles, but they're actually interactive in a way. Let's try to kill this guy from a distance. I really don't want to jump over there and fall into the pit. And that's the holy water. Don't really want the holy water. And we don't want to actually get touched by this guy. If we do, he'll actually steal my axe. So what we're going to do is whack this and just go straight up. And actually what I ended up doing here is I think I'm going to end up going to an alternate route, one of the lower routes, but it doesn't really matter. We're just playing straight through the game. I don't really care which way I go. If there are parts where I can show off where one of the maidens is, then I'll show it off. But I'm just trying to go straight through one playthrough, and then in the future we'll do a live stream of this where I try to go through, you know, every route possible. And we're going to try to fall down here to grab this stuff, and I just missed the money bag. So you can actually bust this open too for some nasty, crusty wall meat. Again, nice little extra attention to detail that didn't really need to be in the game, but, you know, they took the effort to include it. So in a lot of other Castlevania games, wall meat looks the same every time you pick it up. But in this, there are a bunch of different types. And if you play as Maria, ooh, this is... Holy crap, I was not expecting that. Wow, that dude did a ton of damage. One of the things about this game, though, is enemies, after a certain point, do a lot of damage. You do have to watch out for that. And I wasn't really paying attention. And unfortunately, I missed that rat, which can give us, you know, some extra points. Not really extra points. He'll just sort of drop an item randomly. Sometimes, I think on the boss demo, they kill the rat and he drops like a cross or something like that, which I've never seen him do. But yeah, enemies do a lot of damage in this game in general, and you know, by the end of the game in particular, you'll die in about 4 hits or so, maybe 5. But as you can see, this boss is sort of the start of that. And what he's gonna do... Oh, I wasn't expecting him to still do some damage. He's basically gonna dive bomb me, so what I'm gonna do is just sort of start walking over, kind of like this, and then just walk back. Unfortunately, we didn't really get the no damage bonus, but it's not really a big deal. But yeah, so this boss can actually be accessed from 2 different ways. So it's a boss that's actually shared between both paths that you can take, or both routes through the game that you can take. And it's really cool that there are bosses that intersect, you know, between routes like that. It's really awesome. And if you do that, you go to the alternate stage 4, which has some really cool secrets too. Oh, actually, it's good that we came here, because then I can show off a couple things that I don't think I was able to show off in my last Let's Play of this many years ago. So lots of frogs here. Try to snipe them from a distance with the axe. So one other mechanic that's actually very, very useful is, which we're actually probably going to make use of it somewhere on this level, is if you duck in this game and you take a hit, there's no knockback. So in Castlevania, we're going to actually whack that frog right there. 2 different ways you can go here. You can actually hop onto one of these logs and go down, or you can jump across. We're going to jump across because this is actually where you can find one of your maidens. One of the other maidens is actually on one of the previous alternate routes. It's, I believe, the level immediately after stage 1. On the alternate stage 2. But yeah, normally when you get hit in this game, there is knockback. You can get knocked back into pits if you're too close to a ledge. But one of the really nice features about this game is that if you take a hit when you're ducking, you don't get knocked back. And we're going to whack this frog. And instead of going through that gate, we're going to actually come back this way. It actually opened up a passageway. Really great graphics in this game. I know I'm just sort of like gushing over the visuals at points, but there's just so much attention to detail in this. And there's a stairwell right there that we basically want to go down. And let's actually come back here real quick. I'm going to go ahead and just stick with the axe. And there's some wall meat. Very good. I actually didn't know about that wall meat. So we're going to try to hit this platform. I'm going to stay ducking just in case the mermen jump up and hit me. There are a couple of parts in the Super Nintendo version of the game that are like that. And let's just use an item crash here, because I don't trust this part. And we can just go through this door. And there we go. See, this is where one of the maidens would be. But since we already got her in a previous playthrough, she's not there, but there are a bunch of items. And so, oops, I went back into it. And we have to work our way back up. Extra life. And there we go. So yeah, this game is chock full of secrets. It's, you know, one of the great things about it, there's just a lot of replay value in the game. It's definitely one of the best things about the game. So a lot of Castlevania games, you go straight through them, That's it. There's not really much else to do. I mean, Castlevania is just, they're fun games in general, especially the mainline games on consoles specifically. Some of the handheld ones from back in the day, like on Game Boy, they're not, they're okay, but, you know, they're not as great as the, you know, the console entries. So, you know, your mainline Castlevania 1, 3, 4, Bloodlines, Dracula X, Super Castlevania 4, even Dracula X and Super Nintendo, really fun games for the most part. You know, you just want to play them, again, naturally, because they're fun games. They're well-designed games, well-made games. They usually sound great. But this has an extra layer to it because of all the alternate routes. It saves your progress into the internal system memory. You've got Maria you can play as. You've got different, you know, cutscenes and forms of dialogue depending on which character you play as. You've got, you know, the money bag mechanic where, you know, you can unlock the boss movies and whatnot. It's just really fantastic stuff. It's just chock full of content. The amount of content in this is probably, I guess, quote-unquote lacking by today's, you know, modern gaming standards, but for 1993, it's a ton of content, and it's still fantastic. It still holds up great. Alright, so, what is his name? Dullahan or something like that? So this is actually, you know, for a lot of people, this is a pretty tricky boss, but really what you want to do is just, you know, his attacks are pretty well choreographed. When he pulls his lance back like that, he basically just pokes it straight forward at you. Also, when he puts his lance up, he'll either do that sort of ground ice attack, or he will lunge forward. And when he puts his head up like that, he'll either throw it at you like so, and when it's green, it'll actually slow you down, so you kind of don't want to touch the head when it's green. Other times, he'll throw the head into the air, and he'll cause this to happen, which is basically rocks to fly down. Let's go ahead and just use an item crash. I'm not playing very well, to be honest with you, today. I'm actually playing surprisingly poorly, but that's okay. I'm not really too worried about it. Not a huge deal, as long as I don't die too many times. I did actually play this about 5 days ago prior to recording this. I spent like 5 or 6 hours practicing this game. The first couple of hours, it was just to practice the different routes and just to get familiar with the game again so I can do this Let's Play. But then I just kept playing it for like another 3 hours because I wanted to get, you know, more money bags. I wanted to unlock every route and see every route and so forth and show it off on stream. I was streaming this on Twitch, and it was fun, and I was hooked. I would have kept playing it too, but I had to go to work. So again, we've got the axe. We're just going to take these guys out from a distance, just like so. And we're not going to use the cross. You know, the cross is a great weapon, but again, I just feel the axe is more flexible. Like, I couldn't use the cross right here against these guys. And this is actually a problem, because he knocked me back over to that ledge, but actually it's not a big deal. These guys have a lot of reach, as you can see, so... You know, one of the fun things about this game, though, and a lot of other Castlevania games, is trying to go through the game without sub-weapons. It gives you a little bit of extra challenge. It kind of makes you tackle certain situations in a completely different way. And there's an extra heart right there. And what we can do here is actually smash this, push this forward like so. And let's go ahead and just kill this guy. Or not. And you can bash this, and then that, and then that. And then you can attempt to get that wall meat. I've never actually gotten that wall meat with Richter. Might be a little bit easier with Maria. But if you bust this open, you can actually get yourself an extra life. And looks like we have 8 lives. Yeah, if you know where the extra lives are, and if you play well, and you get all the money bags, you play for points, you get... I think I've walked out of this game with like 14 or 15 lives. It's pretty crazy. It's a lot of extra lives. And we're going to jump up here. One other mechanic I haven't really explained is you can jump on the staircases in this game, and you can actually jump off them as well. And these guys, I'm just going to sort of snipe them from a distance with my axe. Kind of like so. Just like that. And then there's this, I'm going to call it a mini-boss. You don't want to touch this guy. He will basically suck you up and kill you in one hit. And so what we're going to do is just use our axe for that. The axe is also very powerful. It's one of the most powerful normal weapons in the game. Only took 3 or 4 hits on that guy. If I whipped him, it probably would have taken like 7, 8, or 9 hits. So if you've got the axe, use it. You get a lot of hearts, you get a lot of ammunition for it, and it is just really, really powerful. And again, flexible. Look at that, I can kill a lot of these guys from down below, which I can't really do with other weapons unless I'm using their item crash. This candle appears normally in axe as well, but if you pick up, or if you whip a candle that normally has your sub-weapon that you currently already have, it'll actually drop a big heart. That's actually a mechanic that's you know, been in effect since the very first Castlevania. But yeah, as far as staircases are concerned, you can jump onto them by basically just holding up as you land on them. You can also jump off of them, which is quite nice. You can't do that in every Castlevania game that has staircase grabbing. So you can basically jump off staircases in this by pressing down and jump when you're on the staircase. You can also jump off the staircase that you're on, which is another nice feature. So in Super Castlevania 4, that was the first Castlevania game that allowed you to jump onto staircases and jump off. Well, not jump off. You can jump onto them and you can drop down below them once you were on them. But in this, you can actually jump up from the staircase as well, which if you're a speedrunner or someone that just likes to skip through stuff can make things a little interesting. So we can basically press down and jump to drop off the staircase like that, and we basically just, you know, we hold up to land on the staircase, and then if we just jump on the staircase, we just jump up like that. It's good stuff. So, you know, like this is one of the primary sections of the game where I will just jump from staircase to staircase, which is nice. So this is our death fight. He's actually not too bad, especially if you have the axe. Another reason to stick with the axe, because he flies through the air. He can be tricky to hit with the daggers or the you know, the cross. So we're gonna go ahead and just stick with the axe here. And we've already taken 1 hit, which isn't good. Again, at this point in the game, it's, you know, about 3, 4 hits, 4 hits or so, and you're dead. And death is a basically a 2-phase boss fight. And that's another hit. Now, one other thing I haven't really mentioned is that there isn't much in the way of invincibility frames in this game. So you've got to watch out for that too. If you take a hit and you land on top of another enemy or another object that can hurt you, good chances are you're going to take another hit back to back. You know, you're going to take 2 hits back to back. And now Death is going to jump down, and what I want to do is sort of keep my distance and just whip him. I don't want to use my sub-weapons on this form, because when you use your sub-weapons on this form, sometimes you'll do a special counter-attack. I'm just going to whack him like that. We're going to wait for him to attack, and then smack him like so. And we're going to wait for him to do a dash attack like that. He basically jumps up into the air and then goes down at a 45-degree angle. Now, in the Super Nintendo version of Dracula X, you actually fight this form of death as well, but his second form is a lot more difficult in that version of the game. And so what I do on his second form in that version is I just item crash him. He's got the similar, you know, attack patterns and whatnot, where he just sits there and he swipes, but when he goes up and does his air attack, he'll go all the way across the entire map, which he doesn't do in this one. He just goes up and then comes back down 45 degrees or so. Pretty much the same thing every time he does it. So he's very controllable in this version of the game. Super Nintendo version, he's not. He's a lot more difficult to deal with. And this is stage 6. This is our boss rush. This is actually a pretty cool thing. I like boss rushes in general, and it's nice that they added one in this game. If you whack this open, you'll actually get yourself that book. We're gonna actually not use the book. We're gonna go ahead and try to do it without the book, because I find that the axe is better for Shaft, who's gonna be the end boss of this boss rush. Plus the axe, I believe, actually uses less hearts, and I'm gonna be able to get extra hearts because the axe is one of the drops there in the candles. So by not using that book, I actually came out with more hearts. And you have to actually jump here, otherwise you'll get hit. So for newbies, what you can do is you can just mash the jump button, and the second the game gives you control, you'll automatically jump, basically. And so this is the Bat Boss. This is actually the second boss in Dracula X for Super Nintendo. And his patterns are actually quite different in that game. In this one, he does this drill attack. I'm going to go ahead and use my axe here as well, because when he dies, he's going to drop a bunch of hearts. So I'll get some hearts back. And this is going to be Medusa. We're going to go ahead and just whip her. We're not going to use our sub-weapon here, really. She'll do this attack that you can duck under, and then she'll jump up and use her tail, like so. You want to walk away from that. And when she jumps over like so, you really want to just walk underneath her. Now, unfortunately, we took some hits, but the next fight is going to be the Mummy. And we'll actually get some wall meat back from the Mummy, so we'll get a little bit of life back after we fight him. I like doing this boss rush without dying, but it's tough to do it without dying. You really have to know these guys' boss patterns very well in order to do that. But this guy, you can just whip him, and then maybe use your sub-weapon here on the this part. And you really want to jump up here, otherwise you'll get crushed. And we took a hit. Not a big deal. So the wall meat in this is, it's decent. It feels like it gives you a little more health back than it does in, say, the original Castlevania on NES. And this is Frankenstein's monster. And he'll do that jumping attack, and then he does this lightning attack, and you really want to just jump over that. So jump. And a lot of times when he does this jumping attack, I like to just walk all the way over to the left-hand side of the screen. You have a tendency of not getting hit from the falling blocks, the falling debris. And there we go. So now we get to fight Shaft himself. One really cool feature about this boss rush is like after you killed Frankenstein's monster, you get a checkpoint. So if you die, you actually come back and you fight Shaft. You start at the Shaft part of the fight. But the most satisfying thing for me is going through all the monsters and killing Shaft without dying. So that's actually kind of tough to do. You know, for me at least, it's tough to do. Now there's going to be, you know, a change of music. So Shaft has 3 main attacks here. He's got these orbs, and the orbs turn into fire. And when they turn into fire, you can actually whack them. And he's got this laser attack, which is actually kind of tough to deal with. It's very, very powerful. It does a ton of damage. And then the balls turn into these, you know, these shielded ones, and they just dive bomb you. And then that's pretty much it. So it's back to fire, like so. Oh, I wasn't paying attention. See, I messed it up. I wasn't able to kill all the bosses without dying, so that was my fault. Totally messed that up. But we'll go ahead and pick up the axe again. The reason I want to go ahead and just stick with the axe is because it comes in handy on the next stage as well. So we're just going to go ahead and stick with the axe. Again, it's my favorite weapon to use. It's the most flexible. And I definitely want it at very specific parts in the game in particular. Alright, so it's going to go to fire first. And you can use your axe against the fireballs. And then you've got these lasers. Like so. Yeah, you've got to watch out for those. And then you can double jump over that, or I should say backflip. Not really a double jump per se, but you can kind of treat it as a double jump. And if you think you're gonna get hit from these things, you can actually use your item crash through it, just like that. And oops, I messed up again. Go ahead and just whack those with my axe. Just try to keep them away from me. And that's it. So now these things are going to wrap together and they're just going to fall wherever you are in the screen. So if you've done the fight without taking damage, you need to avoid this as well. Otherwise, you'll take a little bit of damage. You won't get that free extra life. Speaking of extra lives, we still have 8 lives. We have 150 credits. And one fun thing that's kind of, one thing that's kind of fun to do as well is you can do this in other Castlevania games. Is that orb that falls down? You'll sort of freeze in place just like a few frames after you grab it. So you can do things like, you can try to whip after you grab it, and Richter will do like this really cool whipping pose, or you can backflip into it, and Richter will be hanging upside down in the air. Just fun little things to do. It's one of the things I've always liked about some of the Castlevania games is you can do that. Alright, so the axe is really good on this part because it'll kill these bats in 1 hit. Normally these bats will actually take 2 hits. And one other thing that's really good to do here is you can actually change direction mid-air. So you basically just reverse in the opposite direction and then whip. And then that's it. So that part's actually pretty tough. So I highly recommend doing the, turning around mid-air and still whipping. And that skeleton always just sort of jumps straight at you, so he's very easy to take out. This stage actually isn't that difficult, to be honest with you, once you know what to do, especially if you have the axe. Like I was able to kill that skeleton from down below. I do want to take it relatively safe, though, because I'm getting low on health. And like, oh look, I just took another hit from a skeleton bone that I couldn't actually see. So skeleton bones will go off the screen, and you'll end up, getting hit by them when they fall back down. So I just don't want to get hit until here. I want to at least come into this room without getting hit, because there is going to be some meat. So you want to go ahead and bash this gear, and it basically reveals this bird. And we're not going to get that key, but if I wanted to find one of the maidens, you have to get that key. The door for that key is actually just down at the bottom of this next shaft, but I really don't want to get the key right now because I've already gotten the maiden. But I want to use the axe on these guys. These guys are really, really dangerous, actually, but they die in 1 hit with the axe. See how they just lunge at you really, really quickly? They're very tricky to deal with, so it's good to just snipe them from a distance. But there is some wall meat right here as well. And so if I successfully came down here with the key, I would basically use the key on this door, and that would rescue one of our maidens. If you were doing a brand new game, it would force you to watch a cutscene. And again, one of the reasons I'm just playing an existing save file is so we don't have to sit through those cutscenes on this playthrough. So I'm pretty sure in my previous Let's Play, I did start a brand new game. So we did have to watch the cutscenes on that, but by not having to watch the cutscenes, we get to save ourselves a little bit of time. So now you can actually double jump by, not double jump, but you can backflip up here. It gives you a little bit of extra height. And unfortunately, it's not really working. Normally it works. Oh well. Let's try one more time. There we go, just like that. So it looks like you actually have to walk over, halfway off the ledge and then turn around and do a backflip. So for here, what I like to do is actually come over here and, kill some of these guys. What we're going to do is end up falling down. But by falling down a little bit farther over, it actually saves us a little bit of trouble. And there's going to be this guy right here. He's got a very long range attack, and then he does these, he tosses these bones into the air. Also, if you really wanted, there is some holy water right here, and you can just use the axe to get that. But we're gonna fall. Let's try it down here. Yeah, this is fine. And I'm gonna sort of wait for this guy to just run right past me, like so. Those bone dogs, they always die in 1 hit, and these guys have a crazy range. So the second you see them winding up for their attack, start running in the opposite direction. Do not stand in front of them. And the other thing that makes the hit just sting even harder, you get knocked way far across the screen. But that attack, that lunge attack, you can actually duck under. And so the goal is to get to this staircase right there. If you were playing as Maria, I think you could actually double jump your way up there. So you can actually do some sequence breaking when you're playing as Maria, which is always a lot of fun. I love being able to sequence break in games. And with the axe, I can actually kill these guys from down below. And one thing that's nice about this game is that these enemies don't respawn until you die. So you definitely want to kill them in this version. In the Super Nintendo version, I think they respawn. You go up a screen and you come back down and they come right back. And there's going to actually be an extra life hidden up here to the left. It's actually being blocked by your health bar, so it's not obvious, but it is here. There we go. One up. We have 9 lives. And so we're going to go ahead and just kill this guy from a distance. Again, another reason the axe is great. That guy shoots bones up. I don't think I can land on that. I don't think I can get up high enough. But yeah, we'll just jump over here. And come up here like so. So one thing to note about your jump, if you jump and then delay the direction press, you can actually jump and just move a tiny bit forward. And that's actually really useful on certain platforming sections in the game, including, you know, that pendulum jump that you have to make. Sometimes if I just do a full-size jump, I will actually miss it. So there's a bit of a gimmick right here. I'm not going to go for it, but you have to, if you want to get a certain sub-weapon at the very end, I think it's like the stopwatch, which isn't really that useful. You have to grab the dagger and use it to hit the holy water here, but there's also some wall meat. And you have to use the holy water to destroy these blocks up top, and then that gives you the axe, and you have to use the axe to destroy these blocks on the bottom, which then gives you the cross, and you use the cross to destroy those blocks at the top. It's just not really a lot of point to it, to be honest with you. And it just gives you a stopwatch, but the stopwatch doesn't really do anything here. I mean, if it does, let me know in the comments. Maybe I'm missing something. Maybe the stopwatch item crash does something really useful I don't know about. Come to think of it, I don't think I've ever tried using the item crash with the stopwatch. I just never had a reason to. Alright, so this boss right here, this is basically the Ghost of Shaft. And what I really want him to do is sort of be on the left-hand side of the screen. He has a tendency of doing an attack where this zombie bull comes up. And the zombie bull is a lot easier to deal with, in my opinion, because you can just jump over him. So you want him on the left-hand side of the screen when he does that attack. Unfortunately, when this bird comes up, the bird will dive bomb you. Also, when the bird shoots fire, the fire is just kind of random. Sometimes it'll spit over to the side, and you have really no way of avoiding it. And here's the bird again. And when the bird dive bombs you like that, I feel like I have to get to the far right, because getting to the far left doesn't do anything. But that's okay, at least we did it on our first try. Still got it on our first try. And then that's it. So bye-bye, Shaft. We won't see you again. That's not true. We actually see him in Symphony of the Night, and he returns with some of his familiar attacks. Some. He's got a whole lot of new attacks as well in Symphony of the Night. So for those of you guys that follow my channel, we will probably stream some version of Symphony of the Night this month in October. So assuming it hasn't been done already, you can probably expect that in the next week or so. So there's a neat little trick here I don't think I showed off in my previous Let's Play of this. But let's go ahead and grab this stuff first. And there's holy water we're not going to use, but there's actually an invisible staircase here. So if you jump up here, hold down up. There it is. And you walk up here, and it's a bunch of money bags. So one thing I do, I have 185 credits, and I have 9 lives. What I do is I'll kill myself. And when you come to this room after you kill yourself, all the money bags reappear. It's like 10 money bags. It gives you 10 credits. So you do that 10 times, you get 100 credits, which lets you buy a boss movie. So that's a way to sort of grind out for boss movie credits. Alright, so this is Dracula. What we want to do is whack him in the head, but sort of time our attacks to where our whip falls down and lands on the fireballs. So we really want to take out those fireballs. So just like that. We want to smack him in the face and hit the fireballs at the same time. But every third attack, or every fourth attack, sorry, is the those dual balls that he spits out. They go high and then low. There we go. It's actually a pretty easy boss fight, to be honest with you. I'm actually still kind of surprised that this Dracula fight is really kind of a cakewalk. But it sets up, you know, Dracula's patterns for Symphony of the Night, you know. When you start Symphony of the Night, it is this boss fight for the most part. And it's really cool how they do that in Symphony of the Night. It's a really fun fight in Symphony. I really, really enjoy it quite a bit. And let's try to not die here. One other thing you can do with the fireballs is attack and then press down, and you'll actually hit the bottom fireball, and the others will just go right over your head. And so Dracula has a couple different things here. He does this jump, and when he does the jump, you want to just walk right underneath him. The timing is a little tight on that. When he does his fireball attack, you just kind of want to get back if you can. The fireball is the most dangerous when he's right next to you. But what I like to do is just walk underneath him as quick as possible, as soon as possible. And we're gonna get cornered. Wow, we got lucky there. And he was pretty easy. He's got this sort of full screen attack that goes all the way across the screen. This wave attack. For that, you just want to just duck underneath it. He was about to do it, but we got past it. We defeated him before it actually came out. So now it's going to basically play the ending. It always plays the normal ending, even if you've beaten the game before and you're using an existing save file. So we'll go ahead and let all this roll out. But yeah, this game does have an introduction sequence, which I actually cut out because it had, you know, lots of voice acting, and I didn't want the voice acting going with, you know, underneath my voice. So it would have made things a little bit more difficult to make out. But it's a little bit more quiet here, so. But yes, this is in Japanese, because again, this was Japan only. And, you know, some of the more recent versions of the game, you know, were translated and, you know, dubbed. Yeah, this is pretty cool, too. So this was the early days of CD-ROM, you know, technology for, you know, in video game consoles. CD-ROM tech and game consoles hadn't been around very long by this point. Maybe 3 years? 3-4 years? And so, you know, seeing cutscenes like this was really cool for the time. And, you know, when they're done really well as well, it's still kind of cool to see them. You know, for one, just to see, like, how far the tech has come, but to see just, like, you know, some of the techniques they use to make these cutscenes, and, you know, it's neat. I like it. So, yeah, it was the first Castlevania game in the series to have anything like this. And, you know, outside of some early CD-based games, you know, there weren't that many other games in the era that had cutscenes like these either. I mean, so many games from back then were cartridge-based, and it was tough to do something like this on a cartridge due to limited storage space. But, you know, the good old CD technology enabled this. And that's that, and we're gonna have Richter riding off with the credits going by. And if you played as Maria, it's actually a different backing tune. It's a really goofy tune that you guys will again hear on my live stream of this. Also, if you get all the maidens and you 100% the game, you'll actually see them. Actually, I don't even think it's 100%. I think it's just getting all the maidens. You'll see them flash by at the top. And that's Maria right there. So nice little touch. Again, if you don't get all the maidens, you don't see them up there like that. So lots of little attention to detail in the game. A lot of little things that the devs probably didn't really need to do with this that they did do. And it's, you know, they went the extra mile with this game, and it really paid off. You know, it made it sort of the masterpiece that it is. And just really fantastic stuff. So yeah, that is pretty much it, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this Let's Play. I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up here. I don't think there's really much else to talk about. One other thing to note, actually, before I wrap it up, is if you play this on a TurboGrafx CD or PC Engine CD without the proper Super System card, you'll actually get a little goofy mini game, which I'd like to eventually try to cover on this channel. But yeah, that is another little thing that that is in this game that a lot of people don't know about and don't see. Just a little bit of extra attention to detail that was unnecessary, but it's there. Again, they just went all out with this game, and it's fantastic. So, but yeah, I do still have an older Let's Play of this, if any of you guys are kind of curious about it. It's really crap video quality, which is, you know, one reason I'm redoing it now. I also got a ton of other Castlevania Let's Plays if you're new to my channel, so feel free to check those out. I have a main Castlevania playlist on my main channel, so just check that out for other Let's Plays. I've been doing a lot of Castlevania this past year in particular, so if you like, you know, this high quality 1080p plus, you know, capture footage for old school games, and you want some updated playthroughs of these, I've got them. They're there, and so feel free to check those out. So, but yeah, with that, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap things up as usual. You know, if you're new to my channel, consider subscribing. Got a ton of Let's Plays on this channel, and many more to come. For everyone already subbed, thank you for your continued support. And I guess until the next one, take it easy.